What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling on Skype again, and this time we are here with Mille of the Almighty Kreator. Thanks for being here today, man. It means a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. Thank you for giving us some awesome new music and continuing the Kreator momentum. We got Hate Über Alles out now. Was the intention of this album to just create a follow up to Gods of Violence, or was this meant to signify like a new beginning for Kreator in a way?
That's a good question. Um, I'd say we just like followed our instincts, our gut feeling, in order to come up with a bunch of cool new songs and and put it together. I think the album kind of has a certain kind of vibe, so we selected. I've written like 20 songs for this since the last album came out, and we selected the best 10. So that was the only thing that we were having in mind. We didn't want to follow up Gods of Violence. We didn't. For us, every album is like almost like a new beginning, but not in the sense of like changing our style or anything. It's just like we want to write a new Kreator album that we enjoy, and then hopefully our fans enjoy as well.
Mhm. You ever worried that the songs you leave out of the album are going to be a B side one day and just be the biggest hit you guys ever had?
That could happen, but I don't think that the songs that we left out are anywhere like bad or anything. It's just that they didn't fit on the album. We had a certain flow. I mean, we even recorded some of the songs in the studio. I mean, I have from the 10 songs, I have 9 songs on the demo, but there's an 11th song that we have recorded, or 12. So if you count the intro, that is produced by Arthur, and it's ready to go. And it's one of those songs that could be a single, really, and maybe that will happen in the future. But we haven't decided what we're gonna do about with that song yet. I mean, um, let's wait and see. I think it's you never know what people will like. I mean, we can only guess what we like, and we can only like hope that our fans like it as well. When we're really into something, that's mostly when our fans go like, "Yeah, this is cool." You can be much more convincing if you really enjoy your own music. You know what I mean? And we do enjoy the new record.
Definitely. And, being that Kreator has so many albums out now, and I've always said that, like, Hate Über Alles isn't a continuation of Gods of Violence, and Gods of Violence wasn't a continuation of Phantom Antichrist. I think when you look at every record from Endless Pain to now, it almost seems like it's just a continuation of the Kreator evolution.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, that's how I see it as well. There's of course certain songs that are like a little different, especially on the new record, the song that we did with Sophia Portanet, Midnight Sun, because it's the first time we have female vocals, a female artist featured on a Kreator song, and then there's like some of the songs that we do on most albums. There's always like one song that is over 7 minutes or 6 minutes, like an epic song. And there's but that, like, you're absolutely right. It's basically um, the records. If you listen from what we've done, especially since Violent Revolution, it's a continuation, and it's like we kind of like we don't change our style, but we kind of like put little twists here and there, and little extra things, and go in more into detail, rather than coming up with like some dogma album where we do like, okay, on this album there will be no this or that or whatever. It's always like it's definitely like the continuation of the Kreator's song
Mhm.
sound. Yeah.
Do you prefer if every record by Kreator represents, who you are at that particular time, almost like a timestamp in a way? Or do you think that maybe the album with its concept could also evolve as you evolve as an artist as well?
That's a good question. I can only in retrospective, you can point out certain albums where you could go like, this represents what we were about, that we were into at the time when we recorded it. For example, in the 90s, we had some albums that were really, really like going. We tried different things. I think nowadays it's more like from from the. I mean, it's not that the albums in the '90s were not from the heart; they were all from the heart, and they're all 100% Kreator. But I think in that sense, every album represents Kreator. But I think that the later albums, like from Violent Revolution up to Hate Über Alles, they represent. We kind of found our sound, you know. When we found our own little style where we're comfortable experimenting within the universe of what we are, and that was in the '90s when we were experimenting a little more. We were still we were figuring out how to do things. Now we have the technical abilities and we have the skills on the musicianship to just have one album and then have one song that's a little different and one part that's a little different, rather than writing a whole album, because we're still experimenting, finding things and figuring things out.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned, start of with Violent Revolution, because when I saw you guys on the Decibel tour with Obituary 5 years ago, I found it really funny. All the fans were like, "Oh, are they going to play stuff off of Coma of Souls or A Pleasure to Kill or Renewal or something like that?" But it almost seems like for Kreator, at least in your mindset, Violent Revolution to Enemy of God, Hordes of Chaos, and onward is almost kind of like the defining sound of Kreator, right?
Yeah, but also we do play the classics live. Absolutely, we do. We sometimes dig out songs. I mean, we have, even in the new set list, we have songs of Coma of Souls and Pleasure to Kill. But we're not that kind of band that goes back and I mean, we look back, but we don't stare back. We don't like, okay, you know what? We're gonna do like one tour where we only play this or that album. I think that's kind of, Iron Maiden can do that, but for us, it's no, it's nothing we would do. Maybe one day, but not at the moment.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you, because, I love the new album, Hate Über Alles, but, for me personally, I actually discovered Kreator much later, being born in '93 and all, but Phantom Antichrist was actually my first Kreator album, and being that this is 10 years of that album, and a lot of people hold that album very, very sacred. I've talked to a lot of fans who say that was their gateway thrash metal album, in a way. So, if you don't mind me asking, what was sort of the mindset with Phantom Antichrist right coming off after Hordes of Chaos?
I was a lot of it was also the influence of going to Sweden in the wintertime in January. That was really, really like cold and dark and very grim and really like strange. It was ice cold, and we're in this little studio with our producer at the time, Jens Boglin, and you can tell that there was nothing else on our mind than just focusing on the music and trying to write the best possible album at the time. And that shows in Phantom Antichrist. I think it's one of those albums where you go back and you're like, yeah, that's an album where everything fits together and everything fell into place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, when it comes to Phantom Antichrist, like, like, I've asked people, actually, as a challenge, find one thing that you would do different on that album, and they couldn't figure it out.
Yes, that's a good thing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so happy that you would say that, because, see, there's, like, bands that have been around as long as we have, and people always only mention their older albums, and we feel so privileged that people still like our new stuff. And that's like, to me, Phantom Antichrist is still a new album, even though it's 10 years old, but it's 2 albums ago, right? So that's a nice compliment, man.
Yeah, not to blow smoke by any means, but that is, for a young generation, I think that's going to be their master of puppets. That's what I'm going to say.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Thank you.
When it comes to your lyricism, because I've always been fascinated by the lyricism of Kreator, because I feel like Kreator is a smorgasbord of darkness. You sing about everything from, the darkest aspects of man to the darkest aspects of spirituality. Do you need to hear music in order to come up with the lyrical themes, or has there ever been a time where maybe lyrics or an idea determine the outcome of the music?
There's really no rule to that. There's no formula. I mean, I always try to I've done everything, right? I've since I'm the main songwriter of the band, and I've written more than 160 songs by now. It's always hard to to capture that moment. When did the song become the song? It's, for example, because it's the most current one, when I think about the songs, how the songs came together for Hate Über Alles, sometimes you listen to record some riffs and then you go back home and you're like, okay, let's write some words to that. But sometimes I try to find a theme first before I go into writing the riffs, because I always think in terms of songs. I never think in terms of like, what, this is a cool groove. Of course we need that as well, but I'm the more songs I write, the more it becomes more common that I have a theme before I write the song. But do I have to listen to when I go into detail? Yes, I have the demo and I listen to it. I live with it for a while, especially with the title track of the new album. I had like 10 different versions of the song, and I have rewritten it back and forth, changed the chorus, changed the title, changed the lyrics, more than 10 times. But there's some songs that just come to you. For example, the song "Strongest of the Strong" of the new record, that came to me, and the demo sounds just like the version of the album, and the demo is already 4 years old.
Wow. Yeah, and you perfect, because with Hate Über Alles, being that it was 5 years since Gods of Violence came out, is what we're hearing on the new album how these songs were originally structured lyrically and musically, or did maybe these songs change a lot over a span of time? You kind of just answered that, but
But since there was also like this pandemic that hit us all, and of course we had some more time on our hands to figure out certain things and rethink certain things. I think that was also essential in order to, for example, finding the album title. When we had the demo done and with all the songs, I didn't have the title yet, and the album was supposed to be called different. And then, since there was another lockdown coming, that was in the end of 2020, I found the title during the second lockdown. So I don't know, maybe it would have come to me without the lockdown as well, and without the time off that I had, being in this situation. But you never know. I mean, this is most of it is it's a result of many different factors. I mean, some of the songs are just in their original version. Some of the songs, it's hard to point out, but I had an extra year to think about the music and the lyrics. So yeah, there has been changes made for the lyrics and the riffs and everything. Yeah, back
yeah.
and forth.
Yeah, and perfect way to lead into one of the final questions of this interview, because in order to get that inspiration, that songwriting, creative energy, do you almost need to be in a certain place? Do you have like a usual place that you go to in order to cultivate ideas, or does inspiration sometimes just come out of the blue?
Yeah, I tried it all. I went to a cabin. I went to the ocean to get inspiration and all that stuff. And you never know when the inspiration hits. It's like sometimes you're in a supermarket, and sometimes you're in a conversation, and all of a sudden you have inspiration, and then there's like you have an idea. So you cannot force creativity. You cannot. I mean, some people might they know how to do it, and they take some a certain part of the day, like 4 hours, where they do something. I do that as well, where I do like an hour or two a day where I play guitar, and sometimes something comes out, sometimes nothing comes out. But so there's also like, I wish I could find a place like that, and I wish I could be like a guy that goes to the office every morning and is very productive. If I would do that, I would maybe be productive, but throw away 90%.
Yeah, well,
So
I
it's hard, man. It's hard. It's like it's not that easy. I mean, but also talking about the 90% throw away stuff. there's still, even though I don't go to the office every morning and go into a certain frame of mind or whatever, there's still 90% throwaway riffs, on every album.
Definitely, definitely. And it's funny too. Like it almost seems like the best ideas always strike at the most inconvenient times. Am I wrong?
Absolutely.
Yep. And you mentioned the supermarket. I don't know what it is about supermarkets, but metalheads love coming up with ideas there. I've always said that there needs to be a metal album recorded in the produce section at a supermarket. You know.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's like sometimes you have a rhythm in your head, and it's like you just say. The good thing we have iPhones nowadays, and or mobile phones where we have also always have a recording device right there, and I sometimes sing melodies into my iPhone. I sometimes um, play riffs into there. That's basically the foundation of every song. It's my iPhone.
Yeah. And if you do that on the train in New York City, nobody's gonna look at you because that's just normal. Whether they have an iPhone or not, they're making all those voice demos in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same in Berlin.
Yeah, definitely. And the final question I wanted to ask you is the most difficult question of the whole interview. Are you ready?
Hmm. Yeah,
How,
I'm ready.
how do you know when a song is done?
Ah, what?
How do you know when a
Sorry.
song is done?
Oh yeah. That's a that's a very good question. Um, Basically, I know when a song is done after I come out of the studio, and I have the mastering in my hand. Because, for example, on the new record, there's a song called "Kill of Jesus," and it starts with the word world, and the other song that is before that, um, Hate Über Alles, ends with the word world, right?
Yeah.
So it was all mixed, everything was done, and I asked my producer Arthur, can we still change this? So after everything was mixed, I sang the word hordes into my iPhone and have Arthur replace it for the next song. Um, Killer of Jesus. So if you listen closely, you can hear me singing into an iPhone, and the rest of it I sang into a I don't know 20,000 euro microphone in a high end studio. Modern day technology doesn't make a difference, and you will never be able to know. So to answer your question, sometimes even when the song is mixed and everything is done, it's not even ready yet. Sometimes when you listen to a song, even on the album, you think, I should have done this differently. There's always like this thing. There's certain songs that are definitely ready. Like for example, I totally think that the album is done, and but I think when we play everything as a band, that gives you a very good idea whether or not the song is going to work. So I think that's where everything kind of falls into place.
Yeah. I mean, when you have the masters, there's really no turning back anyway. So like
Then
it's
there's no turning back.
yeah, definitely. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today and for such a great conversation. This new album is fantastic. Is there just
Thank you, Alex.
anything else that you would like to promote in the Kreator camp? Can you maybe bring Kreator back to the U.S.? I don't think we've seen you since the Decibel tour in 2017.
Oh, wait. You'll get some very good news very soon.
Oh,
I just had a tour confirmed this week that's gonna blow everybody's minds. I can say what kind of tour we're playing, but there's something spectacular in my opinion um, planned for October.
and you could say no more. And I look forward to being very surprised. Thank you so much,
All
Mille.
right, all
Every,
right, all right, Alex.
all
Thank you
right.
for the interview.
Anytime, anytime. Thank you. Everybody, we are here with Mille of the almighty Kreator, Hate Über Alles. Pick it up if you haven't already while supplies last forever. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.